Hello and welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Taneki. It is our first episode of 2016. Whoop whoop, we made it. Yes, we did. Tonight we are going to talk about teen pregnancy and children before marriage. How we can prevent it, some of the realities of the two, and how we can move forward from what has been labeled as an epidemic. So, as I said, of course, a lot of people call teen pregnancy epidemic, and it's not just the females who have to deal with the problem, but also the males. Now, a lot of times in the situations, you don't have a lot of males who step up to that plate and do their just due for in that situation, and sometimes you do. So I mean, it's both sides. So teen pregnancy is very high. And I'm coming from a place of love, not a place of judgment or not a place of condemnation, but of a place of truth. I myself experienced teen pregnancy, lived through it, worked through it, made it through it. And so I'm here to shed light on one of the struggles that come along with teen pregnancy and the mindset of the teenager who does become pregnant, and then now that I'm a mother, the mother standpoint, and what I feel like will help us stop something that has become a huge problem in society, which is your teenagers having babies. So babies raising babies. So the first part of the equation is, okay, let's stop having premarital sex. Duh. I'm a huge advocate of abstinence until marriage. I think that when we value ourselves higher than how we're objectified in the music and how we're objectified in society and the gender, not that gender roles aren't important, but the way that we are labeled, or the expectations of a woman is to have kids and be all that your man needs you to be, and don't take care of yourself. And I think that that's a huge problem in itself, because we have to take care of ourselves, because I can be nothing more to you than I can be to myself. So before I can become your wife or be a wife, so that he that finds a wife, not he that finds a girl and turns her into a wife, but he that finds a wife, which means I need to already be a wife, finds a good thing. I need to work on me. I need to know my ins and outs and my ups and my downs. I think that's the first part of the equation. If you're not ready for marriage, then you're not ready for children. That's just point blank period, because you don't get one without the other. It took me some time to realize that. I was engaged in sexual activity as a teenager. Nothing that I'm proud of, nothing that I would now condone or even want my girls to experience. Of course, again, I'm an advocate for abstinence, but when you're young, you make mistakes. Is my child a mistake? No, she's absolutely wonderful, adorable, the best thing that could have happened to me, outside of being saved, of course, but she's the best thing that could have happened to me. And so I think that if our approach is different with how we see things, then we will respond differently. So I first have to value myself. I do value myself very highly, and then I will abstain until marriage. But in the event that I don't, we do run across the problem of teen pregnancy, which is, again, at an all-time high. And so you have young girls who get in relationships, and we feel like we are obligated to have sex, because that's what we do. We go together, we date, we're in love. We're together for 5 years, not really understanding what dating or courting is. And we go through the motions and give people who aren't deserving of access, we give them access to husband privileges, and we end up pregnant because of such activities. And so the struggles of being a single parent, it's not even a single parent, but just a teenage parent in general, it's its own set of problems and worries. I've, again, been there, done that, got a t-shirt, and wouldn't advise you to go there either. So you have kids and you're not married, and you're a single parent, because if you're not married, you're single. It's the reality of it. So you're a single parent, co-parenting, if you will, just to go as far as saying that. Co-parenting, you still have to worry about, as a teenager, okay, I have to go to school. Who's going to keep them while I'm at school? Because I have to go to school, that leaves less time for me to work, but I have to work because he or she needs the necessities of having a kid. So they need diapers and they need this, that, and the other. And so you find yourself in an awkward situation. You find yourself depending on other people to take care of your issue. The thing that you're supposed to take care of, that you're supposed to be stable, that you're supposed to be planted, that you're supposed to be ready and prepared, and it's a game plan for this thing. You're supposed to be prepared for these things, but now you have to. Not saying that we shouldn't work as a unit and help one another out, and that you shouldn't have people who want to help you, even as an adult, with child raising. But when you're depending primarily on a mother or a grandmother, or mother and a grandmother in my case, to help you take care of your responsibility, then that's a lot of burden on them, considering they've already raised their children. It's not fair. It's crippling to you, because now you feel like then when you do get out on your own, it's like, okay, they have to be there for me. I'm a single parent and I'm doing the best that I can, and so they have to be there for me. No, they don't. It's a choice for them to be there for you. And so we're in a society now where we feel like, well, if I can't do it, my mama can do it for me. Or if I can't do it, my grandma can do it for me. And so you have these children raised by grandmas and great-grandmas. And so you are still out partying and having your good old grand old time, and somebody else is raising your children. And then you don't understand that when they get older, they're disrespectful to you, or they don't. Your authority means nothing to them. It's because they don't know you. They haven't seen you. They haven't been able to talk to you because you were occupied, or you were busy, or you were working, or you were schooling, and so you weren't ready for the responsibility of having a child. And dare not say have an abortion, or dare not say give it up for an adoption, because those are the words of the devil. And I'm pro-choice. I mean, I don't know if that matters to anybody, but I am. I'm not an advocate of have a kid and then mistreat the child, and neither am I an advocate for get rid of the child and have an abortion. My thing is, that's your choice. You have to make that decision, and you have to live with that, because I'm not going to. It's not my position to force you to have a child that you can't take care of, that will be pushed off on other people who will suffer in the long run because of us not being ready, parents not being ready to have children as teenagers. Because at a teenager, the last thing on your mind is, I need to be a mom. The things that are on your mind as a teenager are, okay, what are my friends doing? I got to get a job. I got to prepare for the ACT, the SAT. Got to go to college. What jeans am I wearing tomorrow? Oh my gosh, I got to order my cap and gown. Senior pictures are right around the corner. Oh my gosh, senior trip is, we're going to Disney World. Oh my God. And the last thing that is on your mind is the life of another human being, because that is one of the most important jobs that you'll ever have on this side of earth. I mean, that's one of the most important jobs that you'll have, because you're responsible for somebody else's life. And so when we enter into this thing blindly or unaware, and we're not talking to our young girls and young guys about, okay, one, abstain. Two, if you can't, at least be safe, because you're bringing somebody else into this world, and they have to, without knowing, go through unnecessary letdowns and hurts and shortcomings, because you won't always be able to. I know, I don't know, maybe there's a super mom out there, a super single mom who had it all together, and that was her plan, and she was a teenager, and it worked out perfect. Did God take a situation and make it good? Of course he did. That's what he does, because I love him and I trust him with my life. But can I say that everything was always good? No. Can I say that everything was always perfect? No, I cannot, because there were days where I was hungry because she had to eat, and there were days where, we don't know where we're going to go tonight, because I can't afford gas to go back and forth from the country to Montgomery, because I come to Montgomery 7 days a week. And so there were those days where you have to cry out to God, and you have to cry and say, oh my God, what are we going to do? Well, I don't want to ask Mom, because I feel like such a failure. But at the end of the day, when it push comes to shove, you're going to call Mama. And that's not her responsibility. As a mother, I'll always be there for my children. Yes, I will, no matter what. But it's unfair to your parents. It was unfair to my parents. It was unfair to everybody's parents who had to help raise your child because you weren't ready. And that's not even just my teenagers. That was my moms anyway, who have kids and who haven't factored in the cost to be the boss. You haven't factored in diapers, and you haven't factored in formula, and you haven't factored in daycare, you haven't factored in all this on your minimum wage job. And so this baby is shuffled and pushed and shoved in unsafe environments, and just a whole lot of things that I would say could be avoided if you weren't so selfish, if we weren't so selfish to put our sexual needs or our physical needs above that of the child. Not that I was so hung up on sex or that was what I did, but it was more of a physically that was fulfilling to me because something was missing. I didn't know what the something was, and as a result of me physically indulging in sin, then I have a kid. I have a kid who I'm not prepared to take care of, who didn't ask to come here, but I have to do what I have to do because her life is at stake. Now, did I go to college? Yes, I did. Did I finish? Yes, I did. Did I have a 3.85 GPA? Yes, I did. Did I do it with flying colors? I did. But it wouldn't have been possible without, one, the strength of the Lord to help me, and two, the support system of my family, who didn't ask for me to get pregnant, who didn't ask for me that. So teen pregnancy is a huge thing. What do we do to counteract this? We talk to our children. We give them, make it a safe place for them to talk about the desires and the urges to want to have sex, and the desires and the urges to be loved or to be accepted. Because if our door at home is closed, then they're going to get information from people who aren't as wise as you, who haven't experienced what you've experienced, who don't know what you know, who can't shed light and wisdom. And so we have to communicate. I think a lot of things that I talk about boil back down to communication. And in my house, we have an open door of communication. You can say whatever you want to say as long as it's in the lines of respect. You can say whatever you want to say, and if I feel like it's out of line, of course I'll let you know it's out of line. But how can I address your issue if I'm not willing to go there with you, whether it be good, bad, ugly, or indifferent? So we have to talk to them. We have to tell them, one, abstain, because if he doesn't deserve you, then why are you giving your body to somebody who doesn't deserve you? Two, he's not your husband, so we automatically know that he doesn't deserve you. Two, but three, if you're going to do it anyway, at least be safe, at least be thoughtful, at least be selfless, and not be selfish to the point where you're unsafe. And not only do you have to suffer, but so does the child. So I think that there are a lot of things. I think we need that education in school about teen pregnancy, and I know they have sex ed and all that stuff, but we need some real life examples. I think that bringing home ec back, where you have to take the baby home for a week and you get a grade on how well your baby was, will enlighten a lot of people. And a lot of people say, well, that promotes teen pregnancy. No, it doesn't. It can actually help prevent something that is going to happen, but it doesn't have to happen at the rate that it's happening if we were to educate our children, or we educate our young ladies and young fellas about what the reality says, what the cost is, what the time consumption is, what the emotional part of it is. We can avoid it, I think. So those are just a couple of my ideas of how we can do it. And so the last thing that I want to hit real quick is the dating process. We think that because we've been with somebody for so long that they are qualified to be our husbands or spouses, but dating and courting is two different things. Dating is, hey, this is an interview. Do I like you? Do I don't like you? I do like you. Okay, you can get a second interview. Oh, second interview. Third interview. I don't know. By that time, you should know whether or not this is worth pursuing. And then if it's worth pursuing, then you go forward. But I think purposeless dating or purposeless intimacy is just, it's a waste of time, because you spend all this time pouring yourself into somebody else, and to find out down the line that it's not going to work, that he's not compatible for you, that you've wasted your time, and then you feel like, oh, I got to hold on to this person because I've wasted so much time. And then you end up in a relationship or a situation where you're miserable, and so it's not worth it. So abstain from sex until you get married. Value yourself higher than you do if you don't bring children into the world if you're not ready. and love yourself and love God and talk to Him, and He will fill those empty holes and those empty voids. And I thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Tea Time. I'm out.